Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam the Ashen, and this is Lies of P. This game comes out on September 19th. It comes out on the 16th if you get the deluxe edition 3 days early, which is what I did, so I could go ahead and get this video ready for you. So let's jump right in. Lies of P is definitely a Souls-like. It's like an action, RPG, adventure, semi-open world, semi-linear. It's got a lot of shortcuts and back doors and secret areas. If you played any FromSoft games, you'll definitely know the type. It's very similar in the structure that it has. And I want to start right off with saying that the game is pretty phenomenal. I haven't ran into any bugs or game-breaking glitches or anything like that. The combat is fantastic, the graphics are really good, the gameplay is awesome, the environments are really cool. They do a really good job on the atmosphere. It definitely gives off some Bloodborne vibes, but let's go ahead and jump in and break it down a little bit. So the overall atmosphere and style of the game definitely reminds me a lot of Bloodborne, but the combat reminds me more of Sekiro from FromSoft, the ninja shinobi game that revolves around deflects, kind of like rhythm a little bit. And deflects are really important in this game as well. Now you do have a dodge, which has iframes, so it definitely plays like a Dark Souls games too, but there's definitely more of an emphasis on deflecting. You have to learn how to deflect if you're going to beat some of the harder bosses. And it starts off fairly easy. It's got plenty of smaller enemies to practice on, and it ramps up to some mini bosses and some bigger bosses. And if you have trouble, all you have to really do is learn the movesets and practice your deflecting. So the game is pretty accessible, even if you haven't played FromSoft games before or other Souls-likes. You can get into this game. It just takes a little bit of patience. I've put a solid amount of hours into Lies of P, and my main complaint so far is enemy variety. They don't do a terrible job at all. They do a pretty good job of switching things up. The enemies have different weapons, different movesets. They do a good job, and you won't really get bored. It moves pretty fast-paced. I absolutely love FromSoft games, especially Bloodborne. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I love that Lies of P took some inspiration from Bloodborne. You can really tell with the environments, and it's got a really good atmosphere. They did a great job with that. For a lot of FromSoft fans, myself included, bosses are a really essential part of the game. If the bosses suck, it's hard to make up for that with the rest of the game. A prime example is Dark Souls 2, in my opinion, is actually a really good game, but a lot of people didn't like it because the bosses weren't that great. Luckily, so far, Lies of P has done a really good job of making each fight feel pretty unique. You could say it's just a big metal guy that you're fighting over and over again for the first 4 fights, but in my experience, the fights were varied enough. They had different moveset, different mechanics. Each one of them had a different, I guess you could call it a gimmick, a different key part of the fight that you have to look out for. So some people might not like this. They definitely have different bosses to mix it up too, some human ones that are more fast-paced. I don't really see major complaints coming from the bosses. They did a really good job. The last part I want to touch on is customization. It's got some cool outfits you can change that doesn't really mess with any stats. Then it has 4 different parts of defense that you can alter that affects your weight. There's like a weight, lightweight, slightly heavy, blah blah blah. It affects your speed and your rolls and your stamina. You can alter all that. You can explore new parts to find different ones and make your own build. The weapons are one of the best parts. You can change weapon handles. You can interchange handles and blades, so you can take a moveset from a greatsword and put it on a dagger, or vice versa. I don't know why you do that, but you get the point. You can really mix it up and make some really unique weapons with some really unique movesets. Like I put a greatsword blade on a dagger handle, so it had a really fast moveset. I sacrificed a little bit of damage for a lot of mobility. That's just one of the things you could do. So that's a really great part that they put into the game that was really essential and making it a game of its own. So overall, I think Lies of P is one of the best Souls-like that we've had in years. The only ones that come to mind that can even compete with it are Mortal Shell, really. That's about it. It's a AAA game. You can really tell it doesn't feel like an indie game, which is really good. It feels like a really well-made game. Good graphics, great mechanics. It feels smooth. The graphics look great. I don't really have any complaints so far. If you're a fan of FromSoft or Souls-like or even just action RPGs in general, adventure RPGs, I think you'll love this game. I think it's worth the price tag. It's a full price game, $60, but it's worth it. It's great. I highly recommend it for anyone who likes these types of games. If you like the video and you want to help me out, liking or commenting really does help a lot. Even you, one person, really does make a difference liking or commenting on the video. If you want to see more from me and to support the channel, which also helps a ton, subscribing is a perfect way to do that. Hit the bell so you can see the next time I upload every Sunday. And I really appreciate you watching. Have a good one.